couple days go by, and what happens? Life and a busy schedule. And you slowly go back to the routine you had before you attended this conference that you were so jazzed up about. We've all been there. Why does this happen? You feel like this fire extinguisher, constantly putting fires out. That scared me. Handling rescheduling emergencies, making sure your executive never finds out there was a fire to begin with. Until you reach a point where you've got nothing, you run out of steam. And the thought of adding anything new to your plate feels like burnout. And it's in those moments you wonder, am I valued? What do I offer? Do I even matter? Please know that you absolutely matter. That's why you're about to learn 3 easy-to-implement actions that will help you to embrace change and show up as your best self at work. These shifts will help you lead by example, and that's where the magic happens. You're here because you seek growth and excellence. Let's celebrate that. Virtual audience, I want you to type in the chat, I'm an influential assistant. Live audience, give your neighbor a high five and say, you're an influential assistant. So much fun. Let us dive into yes, over there. Let us dive into the 3 powerful, easy to implement actions that will position you to thrive. Action number 1, read between the lines. Set boundaries and foresee the future. When it comes to predictions, does it ever feel like your executive expects you to be a mind reader? How about a juggler? Anna McClee said, it's like we could be magicians. She didn't even know she was speaking to one. Like juggling, every new project thrown in the air is like a ball. But if you keep accepting more without pause, something has to give. Maybe it's your kid's sports game, maybe it's date night, and when the balls start dropping, the workload only gets heavier. Here are some responses to have in your back pocket for when those requests start to pile up. I'd be happy to. However, which of all the other priorities do you want me to drop? Or, I understand the urgency of this. It will take 2 hours. Which of my other priorities are now lower to allow time for this? If you don't set boundaries, others will keep piling more on. Even jugglers learn how to juggle more balls one at a time. Here's the key. We train people how to treat us. We train people how to treat us. Setting boundaries isn't just about protecting your time. It's also about creating space for what truly matters, such as being able to implement everything you've learned here. This matters. And after setting those boundaries, you can focus your attention on staying ahead. What do I mean by this? Well, in today's fast-changing world of technology, particularly with AI taking over jobs, you need to be asking the question, am I adapting or am I at risk of becoming obsolete? Take a look at some roles that have vanished simply because they couldn't keep up with change. The lamplighter. In the late 19th century, electric streetlights replaced gas lamps, making the job of a manual lamplighter obsolete. Telephone operator. They connected calls by plugging wires into a switchboard. With digital technology and automation, this job has become obsolete. This reminds me of the Twilight Zone episode, The Obsolete Man, released in 1961. This story paints such a vivid picture of how none of us are obsolete. We all have worth and purpose, regardless of external factors or the value others place on us. However, while we are all equal in worth, we are all not necessarily equal in value, depending on the context. What do I mean by this? Well, generally speaking, a surgeon brings more value to the operating table than a farmer. And a farmer brings more food from a crop than a surgeon. It's the context that defines value. Your worth is inherent, but your value can be cultivated and expanded. Now, if you're relying on someone else's opinion to define your worth, then it's time to shift your perspective. But if you're questioning the value you bring, this is a healthy sign. It's a call to broaden your skills and gain a competitive edge. This is a good thing. Because as valuable as you are as an EA, if you're not careful, more and more parts of your job will be outsourced. And failure to keep up with change and adapt could eventually make you obsolete in the marketplace. So how do you increase your value? You must amplify your skills. I learned this firsthand in my career as a dancer. Early on, I would go to auditions surrounded by incredibly talented dancers, and it wasn't always the most technically skilled dancers that got booked. It was those who had something extra. Maybe they could do contortion, maybe they could do acrobats, or maybe they could balance a sword on their head. Thank you. The dancers who had a specialty act were more likely to get booked. That was a turning point for me. Instead of focusing all my time and energy on my dance moves, I decided to amplify my skills. I learned how to eat fire, I learned how to dance with snakes, and belly dance with a sword on my head. These weren't just gimmicks. These became an extension of my performance and allowed me to bring something unique to the stage. And it worked.